Well, hello friends, and welcome back to the cabin. I'll tell you, I am sitting on some pretty nice wood. I'll tell you, I've said this several times now in the past videos, but this wood miser, this sawmill right here, is a long shot from the other one that I had, the manual mill. Now, a lot of this is still manual. I don't have any hydraulics on the bottom to turn the logs. Now, next year we hope to put in a super winch, thanks to two guys timber framing, my buddies down there. They had the right idea when they installed one in their sawmill shed. But yeah, I mean, look at this. Is this not gorgeous and smooth and flat and clean? I'll tell you, I'm really proud of that new sawmill. So what I have here are a bunch of battens that I cut up to go on the boards on the outside of the juice shack, right? I'm getting used to it. And then this right here was what was left over. So I think, since I'm going to be probably ordering metal pretty soon to go on the roof, I think I'm going to use the remainder of this right here to cut probably 1x3s, because I need to do some vertical first, and then I need to cross that with some horizontal to screw the metal down too. And this was actually a good size log. It was about a 20-inch log. And so I got, what was it, 33 I think of these 1x2.5s, what I cut those, and I'm going to do these 1x3, so I should get enough for that as well. So it doesn't take many trees, if they're good size, to come out with a lot of material. But yeah, we couldn't be happier with the performance. I'll tell you, when I started going through all of the different steps, and I've said this before too, and thought that I had everything dialed in, just making some minor adjustments when it wasn't cutting right, we were still getting some waves, you know, and so forth, and going back and rechecking some of the things that I thought that I had taken care of but I didn't, meant all the difference. That thing is cutting flat now, it's cutting true, it's cutting uniform with using that computer. And I've said this before too, I think, you know, looking at it manually based on how I was looking at the dial or the indicator that day could have been the difference in a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch, you know, or close to that, maybe down into the 30 seconds on each board, because I was only as good as where I was at with my eye. So having that ability right there too makes everything consistent. So I didn't mean for this to be a talk on the sawmill, just about what I was doing here for the little juice shack, but you know, that plays a big part in how it's going to look once it's all put together. Now, I have something that Jennifer got me when my son was here back in, what was it, June, July? I think it was July. She just got around to working on it and then bringing it over to me. Well, so what was it I was talking about? I was talking about this skillet. Yeah, back when my son was here, we went on a little trip going treasure hunting through some of the antique places around locally, and she found this and went back and got it. I guess was later that afternoon or the next day or something, but this is a Wagner 10-inch skillet. It's a number 8, and she seasoned it, and she did a really good job on it, and then brought it over here for me to use. I'll tell you, there's nothing like a good cast iron skillet. You know, when I was in nursing school, they said that the reason that a lot of people have to take iron supplements now is because of the fact that we don't get as much iron as we used to in our diet. Now, when you cooked in cast iron, a lot of that was transferred into the food which you ate, which gave you the supplement that you needed. And cooking in cast iron was one way that we got that in our diet. Now, everything went to Teflon coated and non-stick and things of that nature, which are great. I'm not knocking those. I'm just saying that it doesn't have the ability to transfer minerals that you would need in your diet like the cast iron did. But and I'll tell you what, I can remember Grandma frying up fried chicken, you know, and in the morning frying up sausage or bacon and smelling that. And I tell you what, a lot of good memories surround cast iron. believe it or not. So it's hard to beat good cast iron cooking. You know, folks, trying to provide value in videos is getting harder and harder. But I try to do that in each video that I do. I try to leave you some nugget of something maybe that I might say or that I might do that, you know, could be important for somebody. I've had a lot of comments about, you know, the way that I'm doing my woodworking, which, you know, I guess it only makes sense to me. But, you know, I've not had any real training. I'm not a carpenter. I don't even consider myself a craftsman. I just like doing what I'm doing. But, you know, most of it is simple. It's just basic, you know, foundation, support, right, and shelter or roof. So just staying within those guidelines, I can pretty much build a shelter. You know, what it's going to look like in the end. Of course, I don't think anybody builds with crooked wood like I do. But in the end, you know, most of, I guess, what I do and my influence has come from, you know, mountain living and things like that. That's the reason that I lean towards these type of structures, I guess. Although timber frame has been around for centuries. Using those joints means a big difference in the type of structure that you end up with. When you just regularly stick frame something, it will hold up. It might last, you know, I think on the average, I think that the number is around 50 years that they build a house to last anymore, you know, because after 50 years, it's probably going to be sold by the original person that built it. Now, when you build a timber frame, you're talking about a structure that may stand for 100, 200 years, and maybe even more, depending on what type of wood and how well they put it together, and was it protected from the elements where, you know, it wasn't leaking, where the wood could get wet and deteriorate. So a timber frame offers a lot more stability and rigidness because of just the way that it's built than regular stick frame. But stick frame is fast and is easy. But yeah, providing you value in these videos, if there's one thing that I can say, and I mentioned this before, but you need to know how much tension is on the blade. That blade needs to be perfectly level, not angled down, not angled up. It needs to be perfectly flat, not tilted from one side to the other. Your drive belts and things like that need to be tensioned properly, and the tracking as well, for you to come out with nice smooth cuts like this. Now, it took me probably 2 weeks to get all of that stuff dialed in, of just trial and error. But once I got it dialed in, I mean, it's 180 degrees from where we started out first to where we're at now. So really pleased and proud of the way that the sawmill is cutting now. So here's another way of providing value. I can attest to the fact that the products by Cabot, and they do not sponsor these videos, we've contacted them because we have used, I don't know, maybe 20 total of each one of these. So that's about 40 in all of the different buildings that we've got here. You know, I'm just thinking roughly how many gallons that we may have used. But I'll tell you what, this stuff right here does the job. This cabin was done 5 years ago, right? And even on the sides where the sun is most prevalent, even in the summer and the winter, doesn't look too much different than the part that has been shaded. Now you can tell where the sun has hit it some, but it doesn't appear to look too much different, like I said, than the part that was shaded and never hardly gets any sun. But the clear wood protectant, it goes on, and both of these are natural, by the way, or clear, I guess you would say. Even though that is true, the clear wood protectant does have a little bit of a tint to it, as well as this natural look also has a little bit of a tint to it. Now, this Australian timber oil comes with linseed and tung oil both in there. And I'll tell you, you know, linseed oil has been used for a long, long time. So has tung oil. And having both of those and the properties that they possess in your wood is what helps to protect it for such a long time, actually. Okay, it also has, I think, some iron oxide in there for the UV rays. This clear wood protectant has a lot of protectant values as well, even though it's not an oil, but once it goes on, it's very slick, okay, like glass. That's what it reminds me of, sliding my hand over something very slick. So it provides a protectant on the outside of the wood as well. So I've decided that what I'm going to do is I'll do the battens to match the boards. I was going to do them with the oil, but I'm afraid that the building will look too much like a zebra once I got it completed, right? So I think I'm going to go ahead and use the same color and just let the trim outstanding with the oil on there be the defining character of the building. Now, it's not cheap. This is, I think, 200, and it's probably went up, 249, 59, something like that, for 5 gallons. And this clear is about the same. But I'll tell you what, I don't think that you could do better. Bear is also a really good brand, and I use that on the other house, and it's an expensive brand and really, really, really good. But I don't think that it beats Cabot. And I've used a lot of this, and I used a lot of the Bear. Anyway, just to try to provide you some value, that is my own personal experience with using these two. And let me show you the Cabot. Now, this right here is the corner of the porch, but you can tell that this side is a little darker than the eastern side of the cabin. Now, there is a little bit of a shadow because of the porch that goes overhead, but you can kind of tell the difference. Alright, now here is the south side of the house. In the summertime, the sun generally comes straight up over the house, so this doesn't get as much sun as the side did right there that I just showed you. In the wintertime, though, the sun is lower on the horizon, so when it comes up, it's going to hit that side, but then it's going to hit this side and go all the way down. But you can tell that this side may be just a shade bit darker than that side right there. That is probably the reason why. And then this right here is the west side of the cabin, which probably gets bleached out by the sun the most, because whether it is winter or summer, this is the west side of the house, and that's where the sun is going to set. But yeah, you can tell that this side is still in really good shape as well. Some of the wood, like right in here, might be a little bit lighter than some of these. Like this one's stained dark. You know, this one's stained a little bit lighter, this one a little darker. It could have been, you know, the way I was burning it and then it stained. But what I'm trying to say is the fact that that oil, tung oil and the linseed oil, does a really good job of sealing up your wood. So guys, what more can I say? I think that that says it all, right? Like I said, they don't sponsor us in any way, shape, or form. But we have used this, and we try to give people value in the videos. And so if personal experience means anything, there's you a tip. Folks, thanks so much for stopping by. We certainly do appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you back up here at the cabin again next time.